Welcome to episode 147 of Star Wars and Scotch. It's Kevin, it's Tim. We're here after episode 7 of Ahsoka, which Tim will no doubt call a
filler.
I knew that was coming.
God, getting blue-balled. I mean, like, it was a good episode, but getting blue-balled.
Second those credits ran last night, I was like, he's going to call this a filler episode. So...
you know he's so well.
Here we are. But before we get into Star Wars and what's going on, I do want to remind you that delicious King's Coast coffee is here.
Yeah, get your freaking autumn tide now.
Yeah, please, because we had $5,000 stolen from our bank account yesterday. We'll get it back.
Yeah, that's freaking nuts. We'll get it back, but still, screw you, DoorDash.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't actually DoorDash, it was DoorDash.
And then, like, random word from another country that I won't name after DoorDash. Apparently,
but it's not fraudulent.
No, definitely not. 30 transactions within seconds from various DoorDash accounts is not fraudulent.
DoorDash.
That's what I learned from Square and the internet yesterday.
Fuck you, Square. With all due respect.
Yeah. So,
in this moment.
Yeah.
I'm sure you're
they
great.
still haven't answered that DM 13 hours ago. 14 at this 14, yeah, now. Anyway, well, yeah, delicious King's Coast coffee, kingscoastcoffee.com. Get your autumn tide. Halloween's around the corner, so you know what that means for King's Coast. Maybe a little
spooky season.
Dia de los Muertos. And if you're in New York and you're fancying nudes, you can head over to King's Coast and Wayne can sell you some nudes.
Is that real? We're actually doing that?
Yeah, it's Cup of Noodles. We sell Cup of Noodles now at the... So Wayne can give you some nudes. You didn't? Is it the Cup of Noodles?
What does that have to do with coffee?
It's just a food product we're selling in the.
This is wild, dude. Things are crazy over at King's Coast.
I mean, people come in for their lunch, so they're hungry. So we try and make sure they're fed without having a full kitchen.
Could you get the noodles cooked in coffee?
I don't see why not.
Perfect.
Oh, someone from your community is going to do that, aren't they? They're going to walk in there and be like, wait, Tim told me
I want a double shot espresso noodle.
Yeah, you can make a nude coffee with the noodles. Tim said it was okay.
My community. This is.
I always end up giving them this voice. Like, when everyone from my community is talking, this is what I hear.
So.
Yeah, so. Anywho, kingscoastcoffee.com. Go get your nudes. Go get your autumn tide. Go get your spooky stuff next month. And and with spooky season just around the corner, you should be paying attention to Lab 77 as well. I'm nodding. Tim, do you have any inclination of when information will be available for that?
I told him about it yesterday. We've got Amy and I we're finalizing our blanks. We've got our designs, but your community under leadership of Tim Halloween merch will be available starting soon once we do our test prints and everything. So stay tuned. Yeah, we'll have more information very soon. We've got some stuff coming with Rexzilla in the future coming up soon. So
how is my buddy Rex? I've emailed him twice. He hasn't answered me.
Oh, yeah, I'll talk to him.
It's a business opportunity, Rex.
He's a very busy guy.
I know he is. I'm messing with them. Rex, again, you know I don't say this about many people. Rex is one of my favorite people in this industry. I love that man. I really do.
True.
He's one of my favorites.
Does.
So he's just awesome. And he's never smoked a cigarette in his life, if you can believe that. I just, to this day, can't, like, what? How? Did you get...
Kevin's like, this isn't fair.
No, like, how do you... that guy should have I would listen to him read me Lord of the Rings. Be like, and then Frodo went down.
And then the fucking Eagles came, bro.
Bro, it's so wild. They fucking came and this is flying over again.
It's so stupid.
I love you, Rex. Lab 77, don't forget, Halloween coming up right around the corner. So by next week, we should be able to be like, buy this thing, but just pay attention. And if you don't want to go to Lab 77, you just go to Tim's stream and he talks about it. So everybody wins.
All the time.
All the time.
I'm sure they're tired of hearing about it.
All the time. I haven't been able to watch because you've been playing Cyberpunk.
Yeah, Phantom Liberty is very fun. Short, but fun.
Yeah, I mean, I want to experience. That's one I need to experience alongside Starfield. You know, when I have time to play games. I realized the other day that if I didn't have kids, I would have so much time for video games.
This is a very true statement.
I'm just going to leave it there.
You are not wrong.
And then I'm like, babe, what if I streamed again? She's like, really? And it's not even for money.
Kevin,
it's
you
not
don't-
even for
you
a
don't
career.
wanna do
But I
that.
just want to play video games again, Tim, and not be so behind where everyone's like, Kevin, this game's great. And I'm like, I wouldn't know.
I mean, if you had like endless income and like, you know, it was just like constantly generating, you had nothing else to do, like, sure, yeah. But I mean, like, you're a very busy guy.
Yeah,
I don't think you want to do that.
I'm ready for retirement so I can. I'm 18 games deep on my list on my whiteboard right now. It's bad. It's bad. Let's talk about Star Wars.
Yeah, let's do that.
It sounds like the most prudent thing to do on this podcast.
Where's the podcast
Are you a little
streamer?
like next week is the end? Great conversation. We'll probably bring some friends on after that for some follow-up conversations. But then it's what?
a dark hole?
Yeah, that's the problem
Yeah.
with Disney Plus shows end. But the problem with this one is the strike is gonna. There's gonna be a chasm in there somewhere, and it's gonna suck. I know we're getting Skeleton Crew next year. Is it next year?
Well, Kevin, it sounds like what you're saying is we should do Star Wars tabletop and Star Wars trading card game content from here on out. That's it. That's all Star Wars and Scotch will be, is we are now turning into a tabletop channel.
Someone's got a new addiction.
I'm just kidding. We're not going to do that. But you can head
He wants to.
over to Timmy's tabletop adventure.
He's half serious right now.
Dude, I started a freaking tabletop channel. Yeah, I really like the tabletop life.
Isn't that where we're gonna do the Star Wars stuff?
Yeah, I mean, like, that's where I will end up putting tabletop content.
I just have to bite the bullet and buy the. I was gonna buy it for myself for Christmas or for my birthday.
Amy and
but
I played. Amy had 4 turns in Magic the Gathering last night. She did 10 damage to me. Like, I'm teaching my wife how to play Magic the Gathering, Kevin. It's bad.
How? Okay, completely off topic, but I have to ask because I
Sure.
haven't seen Amy, and I will when I see. How into is Amy a huge Chiefs fan now?
Chiefs fan? Oh, fuck me. Okay, so I wouldn't say that she's a Chiefs fan. I think she really enjoys watching Swifties do the Swiftie thing, and then she just like she fills me in on it. But yeah, she's not like a Chiefs fan. She's not a whatever his name fan.
The past 3, for those of you who don't know, I love football. It's part of my weekend ritual is college football. I was texting Tim. He's watching Florida. I'm watching Ohio State, Notre Dame. And then Sunday is pro football. But the intersection of realities of the Swifties being introduced to the NFL via the Travis Kelce relationship has been nothing short of beyond entertaining. I don't go on Twitter that much. I have been on Twitter nonstop simply because I want to see which NFL parody account the Swifties go after next, thinking that the person is saying something real. If you're into the NFL parody accounts and you know who Barry McCockner is, who made the post that now that Travis Kelce has put Taylor Swift on the map. And the Swifties went after him.
Oh, I'm sure they did. I'm sure they were pissed.
And then the comments are so good. They're like, you don't really understand parody, do you? Just like things like that. It's so good. Or the woman who took a picture or a screenshot from someone else's Instagram picture with Taylor Swift in the luxury box. She has one chicken like nugget, it looks like.
Yeah, with ranch and ketchup, and everyone's like, can we now normalize protein and ranch?
I was like, that wasn't normal? Was I in my previous I used to eat ranch life? I was doing it wrong, or I was some sort of inhumane monster?
yeah,
Like,
they were praising Taylor Swift for being so brave. Thank you, Taylor, for allowing us to eat ranch with
the
chicken
best
now.
comment on that thread was, wait till they discover sports bars. My favorite one was like, this could work out for us NFL fans. The Swifties are the ones who can dig up some serious dirt on Roger Goodell the first time Travis Kelce has a call go against him. I was like, that man will get ousted from the NFL and then we'll finally get a new commissioner. And I was like, this is very interesting. You know, the first time when they are together and Travis gets some BS call or something, the Swifties are just gonna...
No way. And they're going to know that rule book inside and out, too.
Oh, all right, back to Star Wars. But that was, I just needed to ask Tim that. And when I see Amy, I need to have this discussion because Amy was the one that gave me all of the insight on the potential of Taylor Swift being a lesbian. Like, I sat there at Corey's house for probably 30 minutes listening to Amy take me down the road of why people think that, showing me pictures.
Oh my God, it was
posts.
it was wild.
It was, but it was so intriguing. So I don't know.
Right?
I'm
Yeah.
weird like that. I like stuff like that. Anyway, Star Wars.
I'm sure Taylor Swift will somehow end up in a Star Wars show at some point.
Is she a nerd? I feel like she's a nerd.
I don't know.
She seems like a nerd. Anyway, Lizzo was in Star Wars, like Taylor Swift. Come on. Imagine Travis Kelce's
Yeah.
in Star Wars before her.
Oh, the Swifties would have something to say about it.
Anyway, Star Wars. This time I'm serious.
Okay.
So yeah, credits rolled. I was like, Tim's gonna say it was a filler episode, and I will say to an extent, you're right. We moved, but not too much. We went from like moving to like moving. Ahsoka had the most movement, which was fine because we didn't see her for an entire episode of her own show, except for the opening. But Ahsoka had the most movement and the most excitement throughout the episode. Other than that, you know, we got the gang back together completely. Well, we're still missing.
Yeah, which is
Zeb.
cute.
But they mentioned Zeb in the episode, which was nice. When she was filling him in, she really just does not want to tell Ezra how she got there.
That was a little weird. And Ezra's definitely starting to like recognize that something's up. Mm-hmm. Like he's getting fishy. You know, he's like this, or you know, he notices that it's fishy. He knows something's not right.
Our buddy Jay Glam texted me last night and said, "I really don't like reskinned Ewoks."
Oh no, they are reskinned Ewoks.
I said Nosy Hunt as a game mode in Battlefront 3.
Oh.
The rocks,
You're not wrong. Oh man, ruined.
Yeah, I mean, they're cute. It's fine. They're just a defenseless species on the other side of another galaxy. It's not a big deal. Like, there's going to be tons of defenseless species all around the galaxy. And honestly, they're not that defenseless because they really have a system going for themselves of protection. I like the...
And then they're like big turtles.
Yeah, but they also have their little pods are like shells too, because those pop it closed and have trapdoors all over the place and whatnot. So that was interesting. One question I have for you:
Oh god.
why wouldn't Ezra take the lightsaber?
Because he's turned into a monk.
You think he's like, I'm full force,
Bro, look at his fighting style. Everything about Ezra right now screams pacifist. Also, the only other reason why I bring this up and saying he's a pacifist now is because Homeboy killed a bunch of stormtroopers. Look at his apparently the chainmail that he wears under his garbs is dog tags from stormtroopers.
Damn, that's dark.
Isn't that dark as fuck?
That is dark.
Uh-huh.
But I'll say this: what if he knows the stormtroopers are dead?
No, okay, so I thought that was going to be the case until he started killing the stormtroopers and none of the green smoke came out of them. I don't think they're zombies.
Okay, yeah, that's a good point. 1 second, Tim. I'll be right back.
So, okay.
I forgot to turn that off. Sorry, top of the episode. Sorry, chat. Yeah, that would make sense that they're not zombies because, yeah, I didn't even think of that.
Yep. It killed my whole like zombie theory as soon as I watched them die.
Could they be imbued though, the same way like Savage was?
Oh, like empowered, like make them stronger than they are? No, they were fighting like ding dongs.
No, they are still stormtroopers.
Like they still fought like dumb stormtroopers. So like I don't.
They even had the hut, move.
Yeah, dude, and like you hear them talk. The only person who sounds cool when they talk is Enoch. Like Enoch has this modulated voice. It's very like sounds like almost like robotic.
Enoch,
all of the other
is dead.
Enoch is something special. He's definitely something a lot more special than these other stormtroopers. I think all of the stuff with the stormtroopers, them being like shadow troopers, I think that's all just like really cool visual things. like the whole the Japanese art style of breaking clay
saw that.
pots and then forming it back together with metal. I forget what it's called. And I didn't even Kitsui Kitsugi, something like that. Come to find out, a girl from my hometown that we went to school with was one of the people who worked on the Stormtrooper uniforms,
That's
which I thought
amazing.
was really, really cool. Yeah, I thought that was neat. She posted about it after the episode went live.
Kintsugi, golden joinery in Japanese.
So the whole point of that is to break something to make it stronger. It's an art style in Japanese pottery that's like really, really pretty. But the whole idea is you break it, and then you then take those breaks and you put them all the pieces back together, and then you fill it all in with like this alloy to make it stronger than it was before, which is cool. It's like I think that's cool. Like this whole like rebirth. There's a lot of representations of like rebirth and becoming like coming back. The Stormtroopers, Thrawn, Ahsoka, they all have these like coming back moments or like these reborn moments. And now that we've got like the fates, like there's so much like spiritual representations and whatnot throughout like mythology that have been kind of thrown into Ahsoka, which I think is really, really cool.
Well, this is what you desired. You wanted more of the mystical side of Star Wars in a show because we'd taken
and they're crushing
a very long break from it. You had pointed out when we were going over topics prior to the show about the fates and their ties to Greek mythology, which you had already called.
Yes.
And I agreed with you, but now you dug a little deeper and the names match up too, you said?
Yeah, the names, the only thing that's like in the credits, they're said the same, but just the spelling is different. Let me pull those up real quick.
I mean, it's the same with Shin and Hati too.
Yeah, exactly. So it's just cool that they're just pulling from all of that and
Skoll and Hati.
Skoll and Hati and bringing that together. It's cool. I like it, and it fits because it's familiar enough. You're like, oh, I know what these are, but they're still so different. You're like, oh, this still feels very Star Wars.
Mythology should always be a playground to be pulled from and messed with and manipulated. That's the fun and the joy of it. You know, you look at God of War, you look at Game of Thrones, they all pull from, obviously God of War, but Game of Thrones pulled from real life mythology on multiple counts. And, you know, Song of Ice and Fire is such a great series because of that. Mm-hmm. What were you saying their names were?
Oh crap! we started talking about it and then I stopped. On.
They're creepy, by the way. They do those tight shots of them where it's just their face, and I'm like, oh, every time. Now, let me ask you something else in correlation with them. We know Baylan hears a voice or a call. Did he say a voice specifically, or was it just like a call or a pull?
He asks, "Do you hear that?" So he's hearing something very similar to like you and I had talked about with Heir to the Empire.
The Joris, yeah. Joris has the call to the dark side. That doesn't end well for him. Or the call of that voice, which ends up being, I believe it's Abeloth at the end of that. If I could be wrong, correct me. But the voice that Baylan hears, is that the same voice power thing that the Night Sisters, when they speak, the thing we always like, we've never been able to figure out what it is.
Well,
you know when Mother Talzin or even this mother speaks, it has the thing behind it, the extra.
Yeah, I assumed that was just their like, that was just the creepy dark side stuff. I didn't think much of it outside of that.
I feel it's whatever is operating within and around them, inside of them.
Well, that could be giving them their powers.
Right, but is it connected to that thing? We're obviously in this place and due for something crazy next week.
Well, I mean, like this whole Zepho tie-in that's going on.
So yeah, I actually, let me pull up the translation there. If you missed it, it's Kujat, right? So Kujat Ahsoka. Sorry, I didn't pull this one up. The
joys of editing.
It's okay. So in Ahsoka, when they're standing outside of whatever this Night Sister thing is, temple, if you will.
Yeah, we assumed it was just a temple.
Earlier in the week, so this was probably the day after we recorded last week, I sent Tim an image of the hieroglyphs outside the temple. The hieroglyphs outside the temple match up perfectly in stylization and even some of the corresponding images to both of the temples you explore in Jedi Fallen Order, the Zepho temples, which Tim and I joked, maybe we'll get, Zepho in this, and we're like, nah, probably it might be the Ricotta or something else. Well, we were wrong and right.
Oh, I wouldn't say we were wrong. Yeah.
I'm trying to find the exact translation. I have the picture here. Translation. So the sleuths went to
I can't believe that people actually figured this out.
Within a week.
And translated it all. Like, that's the other part that just throws me for just an insane loop, is that people were able to translate that.
So,
also, on Baylan's wrist, the list that's there that
in
we
Orabesh.
just like come to find out that there's a list in Orabesh that's on his communicator, and someone was able to zoom in deep enough and actually translate it all, and it's all of the characters that would be of great importance in the New Republic.
Luke, Han,
Leia, C-3PO, Han Solo,
Chewie, R2-D2, and Ben Solo are the names on his list.
So these are huge targets. So I mean, like, that's crazy, and like people were able to figure that out. You guys are nuts.
Such a minute
the Star
detail.
Wars. Yeah, I mean, like, this goes back to like in episode 9 where someone had to go to Black Spire Outpost at Disney World to get the journal to decipher the dagger. It's just like shit like that, where it's just like, that is so cool that they just went the extra step to leave that in there for us.
Yes, and again, that's praise to the Lucas team on putting that in. So the translation, and actually someone has the translator if you want it, Tim. Basically the way to translate the hieroglyphs into letters and symbols and whatnot.
Oh, that's dope.
The text behind Thrawn and oh my God, what's her name? The other knights.
Morgan Elsbeth?
Yes, Morgan. It says, "Praise Kujet, ruler of all, may his reign last." Kujet was the dark side Zepho. We have images of him from Star Wars Fallen Order. His temple entrance was the one with all the Zepho like crawling up and like.
Yeah,
that's actually
they looked like all like
the
evil and shit.
Background on my computer. So this could be now. Let's take it a step further. We know they're loading bodies. They keep saying cargo, but the things that they're bringing in are bodies.
That's the assumption because they're coming from the catacombs,
right? So. On one hand, yes, it makes sense that the Night Sisters would be bringing bodies with them. If you've seen Clone Wars, you know exactly what they're going to do with those.
If you played Jedi Fallen Order, you know exactly what could happen.
Yes, if you played Jedi Fallen Order, you 100% know. My question is, does that have anything to do with the Zepho? Is Kujet just a quick little...
No, that's too big. There's no way they're just gonna leave that. Like that feels just too important to just leave hanging like that.
Yeah.
I would be I don't know. I said that before about Jedi Survivor, and look where we're at.
Yeah.
But this is a great opportunity to introduce the Zepho, I think. You've set up the scene. You've literally there's no way that they spent all that time and money to build that set piece and do the level of detail that they had to literally spell out these things. It could have just been gibberish, but they actually took the time to spell all of that stuff out. There's got to be a reason why.
Yeah.
There's no way that they're just like, it was just for shits and giggles, have fun. Like that seems like, on one hand, really cool, fun Easter egg. On the completely opposite side of the coin, it's so important to the overarching Star Wars lore. Like, these things were introduced, and these are supposed to be very, very old creatures that were attuned with the Force, and then one was tempted by the dark side and went down this really dark path and almost exterminated their entire race. I mean, like complete genocide, and we're just gonna kind of just not talk about it. I don't know. That's way too important. It's literally the driving story for a video game, and now it's brought into live action. There's no way in hell they don't bring it up. They have to at least acknowledge it next episode.
So there's a huge connection with whatever Baylan's looking for, whatever the Night Sisters are powered by.
Most definitely.
Like, this is all coming together. Will we get the final answer in next episode? No, but we're definitely getting more Ahsoka. I'll tell you that much.
I mean, for fuck's sake, Kevin, in freaking Bad Batch, we get the Zepho weapon. We get the Zepho Brontosaurus.
And the tomb. There was a tomb that we were like, is that a Zepho tomb? And now it's those hieroglyphs. So it's the same thing. So they are planting the Easter eggs, and Dave's just sitting back going like the entire
he's
time.
fucking chuckling the whole time.
So here's my thing. I don't think Baylan dies. I think they're gonna have to recast him. If
he was going to die, I think it would have been in this episode.
I think it would have been with Ahsoka.
I think it would have been that fight, but they make her run away.
So one of a few options here. We can either, get him into some sort of situation where his face gets messed up or scarred or something, and then someone else could assume the role, or he has to wear a helmet like a Sith, or
that would be sick.
A mask or something like that. Or, as I sent you earlier last week, the perfect person to take over would be Gerard Butler.
Ooh, Gerard Butler would be so good.
Yeah, I can't really think of anyone else. I'm sure they could find someone if they were able to find the perfect Ezra and the perfect Sabine, the perfect older Ahsoka. I'm sure they could find someone. But like out of popular celebrities, Gerard Butler would be it to play Baylan. But here's what I'm getting at, and this was one of the big topics of discussion over the course of the week. Whatever Baylan is looking for, he's leaving Shin now. We know that. He's leaving this situation. He came to Peridia when he was describing power to her back when we were on Cetos, he was not talking about the power that she had assumed. And now she seems to be questioning literally everything. That girl is having internal struggles beyond belief. Something's going to happen with her. She's either going to turn. Ahsoka gave her a chance and then let her run. But
very Sith-like.
Baylan is on his own now. I don't. He's not joining back up with Thrawn. Thrawn noticed immediately. Also, Thrawn's 40 chest the whole episode was just so good to listen to.
Just fucking chef, dude. Okay, all right. That moment of the tactician table and like him like sitting there and like calling moves, like that is the book. Like those, like that moment is what made me fall in love with the books, because the space battles are that.
Yep.
Space battles are like move into this quadrant.
Yep.
Team Alpha, do this, blah, 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 blah. Oh, do that, do this. And it's just like, it's so cool to listen to, and seeing that on the screen was amazing. And I want more of that.
Yes.
And that's why I'm so sad that we only have one more episode with Thrawn. And this episode with Thrawn overall was not great. In my opinion, we just got Thrawn handed to us. And now it's like, you're not going to get a lot of him. And I'm a little disappointed.
The master tactician Thrawn is Thrawn through and through. That's Legends. That's Disney. That's just who he is at his core. So it was great to see it in action. And I agree, this episode was very light on a lot.
But I will say the one thing that has me really intrigued, and we can talk about this a little bit later in depth, is his command over the Night Sisters is very concerning to me.
Yes, Grand Admiral. Yeah, I noticed that too, that they were very subservient to him.
They're servants.
How?
To Thrawn. Exactly. I yelled that at my TV. I was like, how is he doing this? Because these are very, very powerful witches, and they are very much so bending the knee.
Yeah. Yeah. And
I don't know why. I want to know why he has them by the balls, because there is something up his sleeve, and he has not shown his hand.
And, to be, again, the sarcophagi that they're putting into the ship, if those are Night Sisters and the Night Sisters are somehow serving him, okay, this all makes a lot more sense now. But again, whatever hand he has up his sleeve, he has not shown his cards. So
I would have thought the roles were reversed, and that he was being servient to the Night Sisters.
No, it's
the other way around. So I want to know what happened. We need a flashback so badly.
Yeah, it's
Oh my god.
It's confusing. But on the subject of Baylan, and then we can move on from Baylan because there's two things on Baylan I want to talk about. Whatever's calling him, could it be the spirit of Kujet? Kujet makes sense from this standpoint.
I love that so much.
Sith are bound to their burial. They cannot, their spirits cannot roam the galaxy like a Jedi who's learned, it used to be Jedi just became Force ghosts, and we realized it had to be a learned thing. Sith can't do that. They're bound to their body. We know that from the temples on Korriban. We know that from encountering Sith all around the galaxy. Even in the Trial of Wills, Darth Bane's body is supposed to be buried in that Sith temple. So even the Wills were like adhering to that theory. If that's the case, Kujet is most likely buried on Peridia.
I would assume so, since that model that temple is there.
Right. So, and it says,
and the temple is to him.
But it says, "Long may his reign last." So that was probably built when he was alive.
That's what I'm saying. Like the temple was made for him, though. Like that's his that's his throne room, and like those are I would assume are those. But at the same time, it doesn't look big enough. It doesn't look like big enough to support a Zepho body.
I don't know,
because those things are huge. Those things they're massive.
So it really raises the question. Okay, that's one thing. The only other option that I could possibly see is the Abeloth theory that's been floating around, and Abeloth makes sense because of Ahsoka's connection to the father, the brother, and the sister. Now, when they wrote Clone Wars, apparently they were supposed to involve the mother somehow, but it never happened, mainly because the mother, I don't know if you know Legends and you know what I'm talking about right now, the mother is horrifying. Yeah,
she's a world eater. She okay, so she wanted to be immortal. Yep. She found the father, the sister, and the brother. Yep. Found them. They bring her on, and she's like, I want to be immortal like you. So she takes from the evil, like an evil tree, right? She eats it. Does she eat an evil fruit and then bathe in a light side pool?
Something like that. Where
she tries to be light and dark at the same time, and she comes out looking like a mutant space demon.
And she's insane. And she essentially turned into a Force demon is what happened. And she has like this Joker smile of jagged teeth that goes all the way up to her ears. Black.
Yeah, she's
her
horrifying.
eyes are like, they say in one of the things, her eyes are like black holes. Luke was the only person to defeat her in Legends because he was the only one.
But he didn't even defeat her, right? He just put her back in her cage.
Yes, because she very much Christian mythology with the devil, chained to the depths of the earth and all that stuff. And Lord of the Rings too. That's Melkor.
And that's happened multiple times. She's gotten out.
Right.
And the father has had to put her back.
Right. Well, now that the father is dead,
right? There's nothing there to keep her in her chains or in her prison.
The sister is the Morai Owl following Ahsoka. The brother's
dead.
The brother's dead too. But again, if they're immortal, could their spirits have been transferred? Or the other big or is that the new Mortis deities are being set up, which would be going back to seeing Anakin, which would be Anakin would be the father, Ahsoka would be the sister, and then the mystery would be who is the brother. That's the new one floating around. People are like, Star Killer. I'm like, how?
The reason why they say that is because there's a rendering.
I know.
Have you seen the render of the new deities? Yeah. It looks good, but at the same time, it doesn't make any sense.
Didn't someone make that though? That's not canon.
Yeah, no, it's not real.
Yeah.
It's someone just made it.
So,
but it looks like it came from the show.
Right. So, in theory, seeing Anakin, tying it back to the Mortis stuff, saying he became a Mortis deity would be very interesting for his character. Post Vader and all that stuff. Ahsoka training to be the sister, considering she's followed by the Morai Owl, makes sense. The brother is the big question mark for me there, but the introduction of the mother makes sense as well. My question is, your show is it TV-14? It's TV-14, right, for Star Wars?
I think so.
Abeloth, to me,
it's like a rated R kind of thing.
Yeah, it's not really TV-14.
I mean, it could be PG-13. Well, I don't know. That could be PG-13.
You could get away with it, I'm sure.
As long as there's no gore. I think as long as there's no heavy gore, and they get away with one fuck. So I mean,
you do get a fuck.
So, yeah, you get one of those, and I would just, I mean, like, I think this could be PG-13.
Tony Gilroy almost got to use it. That would have been the fuck the Empire.
Yeah, because PG-13 just means that parents strongly caution some material may be inappropriate.
I got her picture up right here, and I would strongly caution. I would, if she's it and they show her, I'm not letting Hunter watch the show. Like, that'll be nightmares for months that I'll have to deal with.
Yeah, you can even have nudity, Kevin.
You can have nudity with PG-13.
A PG-13 motion picture may go beyond the PG rating in theme, violence, nudity, sensuality, language, adult activities, or other elements, but does not reach the restricted R category.
Sorry, Wayne, your nudes are only PG-13.
I think as long as you don't show a penis, you're okay.
Of course, it's the penis. No one wants to see a penis. Penises are
No one wants to see a
they're
penis.
so gross.
Like, let's be honest.
Ugh. Penises. Ugh.
Even a lightsaber one wouldn't be fun.
Ugh. And but yeah, so I think it's one of those two things. I don't think anything else would make sense. I don't think anything else would garner interest. I don't think anything else would get the fan service that they would probably be looking for in all of this.
I personally think that Abeloth would make more of a buzz. I think that would get people being like, "Oh, wow!" Like they did it. They brought this really cool thing from Legends back, and holy crap! Like, talk about being able to reinvigorate an entire fan base that kind of like threw them to the side and casted them out as like, well, you're ruining Star Wars for me. And like, what happens when they do this move?
The existence of the mother is like sitting there in canon, though. It's not this like foreign concept that would be, oh, we got to bring her back, because with the existence of the father, the brother, and the sister, the mother theoretically exists too.
I mean, not technically.
No, I know.
Like she serves no purpose. She is a mutant. She is literally, she was created to be a primordial force. The three of them, the Triforce of these people, like they can live without having any type of interaction with this mother creature. Like they can exist forever. Yeah. But they need a bad guy. Every god needs something that goes against them. And who else could do that?
It also makes sense that the bad guy for Ahsoka would not be a direct, I use the word direct purposefully here, threat to the New Republic, because the New Republic is supposed to have peace up until the First Order, aside from what they even mentioned in the court-martial. Well, it wasn't a court-martial yet. The trial or the hearing, which is the Imperial Remnant. They reference,
Yeah, who's that? What's that guy's name? Which senator is that?
Oh, Ziono?
Ziono? Yeah, that guy is totally an Imperial spy. He is 100% an Imperial plant. That guy he's doing the very like the political thing where he's just like, no, let's just scoot past this thing that's definitely a huge concern to me, or should be a big concern to me, but I don't care.
Well, they reference Mandalorian. The events of Mandalorian. They like, what about what happened on Mandalore? And
which I'm so glad they did, because so many people have been confused about when this takes place.
I just assumed,
which I don't understand.
I assumed it was after that, and I was right. So like, cool. Like it just fit perfectly.
That question has come up a bunch of like, but when does this take place? It's like right after Mando.
Yeah, and literally that's what about what happened, which lines up perfectly to. I was in Gibbons' chat yesterday, and they were talking about how Bo will probably be the star of season 4, and I have no.
Again, the show is called The Mandalorian. And we've been saying that from the beginning, that what's really cool about the title being The Mandalorian and not Din Djarin or Mando or any of the things that they have been calling him is because you have so many Mandalorian that could come in as your protagonist.
Din also got his happy ending, and Din can still weave in and out of other people's stories very easily without it.
He had the best ending ever that he deserved.
And he can weave
it was so good.
in and out of anyone's story, which means Bo should be the focus, because now we all want the restoration of Mandalore, and then bringing Sabine into that picture raises a whole new political climate there that they have to deal with. But that's a conversation for another day and another show. Point being is that now we're in this period of time. We understand, the existence of all these things. When it comes to the lore, Abeloth makes sense from a fan service standpoint, Legends connection, all of that stuff. Khajiit, whatever his name is, makes sense from the connection of the greater universe that Disney era of Lucas has been trying to build with the games and everything like that, and the introduction of the Zepho into live action, which has slowly been a drip after we learned about them in Jedi Fallen Order. As a fan, I will be, like Tim just said, I will be more excited to know it's Abeloth, but I have zero issues if it's Kujet. Zero. I am totally fine with that too.
For me, with the storytelling and me wanting it to be consistent across this board, of it being able to be like, okay, I can start at episode 1 and I can play all these games, I can do all these things, and it tells a beautiful story. It being Kujet would make way more sense to me from just a storytelling perspective, because we got the pitch up, right? We got this, like, they underhanded this entire storyline to us with Fallen Order, and in my opinion, it was a huge swing and a miss with Survivor. I think that having like Cordova like come and him being like, I kind of gave up on the whole search and research for Zepho made no sense to me. It was such like a hard stop, and for them to pick it back up with live action, like, I think that's a great way to continue that storyline, because if they wait till Jedi 3, whatever that's going to be, Jedi whatever, I think it's going to take too long, and it's going to kind of water down that entire Zepho storyline.
We overlooked one glaring detail that I said.
What's that?
If Sith are bound to their tombs, Kujet can't be there.
Why?
Because we explore Kujet's tomb in Fallen Order.
Is it his tomb?
It is his tomb because his body's in there.
But is he so he was tempted by the dark side, but we're like, are we going to say
no?
that
He is the dark side Zepho. There's light and dark.
Right. But are we like, so is the whole like the spirit being tied to the tomb? Is that only with dark side users?
It's supposed to be, and it might be a Legends thing for all I know.
I mean, like, I don't understand why they would do all of this stuff with, like, again, with the temple and all of that, and he is not a part of like this entity that's living on the planet.
Hear me out on this. What if the font of the dark side that Kujet reached into, which would eventually become Sith, is the same thing that the Night Sisters tapped into as well at some point along the line? And this is just a font of a well of the dark side, if you will, on Peridea.
I don't know, because I mean, like, so Kujet's tomb's in Star Wars current galaxy, and we're in this new galaxy that has a tomb, or that has a temple that is praising him. Damn.
His tomb is on Dathomir in.
Is it in Dathomir?
It's on Dathomir. I just looked it up.
It's been a bit.
Because don't you fight what's his face when you walk out of the tomb?
Yes.
The crazy guy.
Yeah. But he doesn't die. No, is he dead?
That guy?
Did he die?
I believe we kill him, don't we? Don't we knock him off the edge?
Do we kill him?
I think we knock him off the edge.
Is there a body?
I don't remember. He reminded me of
crap.
Jorus, by the way, more than Baylan.
Well, yeah. I mean, he went insane. He was a Jedi who survived Order 66, who ended up on Dathomir, went insane with Darkseid, and we end up finding him in his current state. Oh man, what if they tied him back into it? Shit.
It's Malicos. Taron Malicos. I'm looking at his death now real quick.
Is he dead?
I'm making sure. God, we should have prepared for this. I didn't think the conversation would go here.
No, but I didn't think that it would go this way. That's why people love the show.
He's dead. He's buried by Marin. Oh, buried alive by Marin.
See? We don't know if he's actually dead or
Might
not.
not be dead. Yeah, Taron reminded me big time of Jorus when we first met him.
Oh, man.
So, the one thing I will tell you this. Regardless if they find a way to make it Kujet or it's Abeloth, there is one thing I don't want it to be, and then we can move on. Please, for the love of God, have nothing to do with Palpatine. Absolutely nothing.
Oh,
Zero.
I will
zilch,
just
nada,
shit a brick.
Nothing to do with Palpatine. We know what he's up to. The Exegol experiments and all that stuff. Flesh that out in something else. Can we just stay away from it? Please don't. under any circumstances, involve Palpatine. Unless this is some sort of force that Palpatine found because he did X, Y, and Z. I'm okay with that because, like, that was he was into that.
No, this feels deeper than that.
That's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah.
But don't involve Palpatine.
I don't think Baylan would be just after like something to do with the Emperor. I think it's deeper than that.
Because it's
something that it ties into the Filoni verse, not into the George Lucas verse.
Which I'm fine with. The line that scared me was when Ezra asked if the Emperor was dead, and she said, that's what people are saying.
Yeah, which was a nice nod because no one wanted to believe that the Emperor was dead.
Right.
The New Republic is doing their propaganda thing of like the Emperor's dead, the Empire's fallen, follow us. But then there's still these whispers. There's like, and that's been going on since the Battle of Endor. Is like there's no way that he died because go back to the Sentinels, the robots that have his face.
Mm-hmm.
That goes into what's the Operation
Cinder?
Operation Cinder. Like so, like all of those things, these are orders that are still being carried out by the Emperor, and so the assumption is that someone's pulling the strings, and so they just assume that the Emperor, like there are people that assume that the Emperor isn't actually dead. So that I think that was the nod that she was making, not so much of like a lineup for nope, the Emperor's coming back.
Yeah, I agree. I just it miffed me a little bit thinking about those two things together. I was like, please don't even go there.
No, I did not feel that at all. I think what she was doing was she was just being very truthful to Ezra.
Okay.
Our little monk.
With the medal of
Everything
dead stormtroopers.
I know we need to take a break. But like everything about Ezra is just so good. I love what they've done with this character.
All right, let's talk about Ezra in a second. Be right back. All righty, we're back. Ezra. One thing before Ezra, the Kyber crystal theory on Baylan's belt.
Oh, on Baylan's belt buckle, the green Kyber crystal that's chilling there.
Get it? Like,
I like that idea.
All
Of
right,
it
cool,
being
but
his old
why?
lightsaber, because he still holds on to the memory of what the order was. Back to the line of I miss the idea of it. He does. He misses the old ways. And that's what this is all about. This is all that is what Baylan's mission is all about is trying to get away from the normality that is this cycle of death and destruction and then life and then death. He wants to get away from it.
right.
And he wants what the Jedi promised everyone and never delivered on. And I think that's why he still holds on to that. Like, that's why he felt bad having to kill Ahsoka, because he knew that the only way to get what he truly wanted, which was to get on to Peridia and to find whatever this thing is, he had to go through Ahsoka. And that's why he's like, this is such a shame. Like, I shouldn't have to do this, but I'm going to.
Yeah, I buy that.
I think Baylan's character he's not just this really strong, meaty Sith guy. Like there's so much more depth to Baylan's character, and I really hope that we'll get more on him, even though that like Ray Parker's dead and stuff like that. Like, it sucks.
Yeah, I mean,
But I think Baylan's character as a whole, I think you could even go back and fill in some of his gaps. But he's very interesting. He's a very cool character.
the one side of me is because Ray passed, we have to let the character go. But at the same time, the character's so dynamic. He did such a good job working with Dave to create it that I think it would do it justice to continue with the right person. And continue on. It wouldn't be the first show to recast someone. And I think Star Wars does need to get in the habit of that. I know that's something for some fans that they think it's taboo, but, look at Game of Thrones. Season 1, we have a different mountain from Season 2, and the Season 2 mountain and beyond was way better than Season 1 mountain. So, you never know. And I'm not knocking Ray at all. Like, he has done an incredible job at that, but you just never know, what you'd be getting out of that. So it's really just something I think, like you said, we had the opportunity to kill him off and he didn't. So I have a feeling it's just going to be a recasting, and just hopefully it's the right person. That's all. Your monk buddy Ezra, go ahead.
Oh my God, dude. I love everything about this. Like, so this kind of ties into the people of Jeddah. Who are the protectors in Jeddah? What were they called?
Guardians of the Wills.
what was the other? Was there something else that they called them? Anyways, it reminds me very much of the Guardians of the Wills from Jeddah. This whole like the Force is my ally. The Force is the only thing that I need. I thought he was going to be purely pacifist. I was waiting for him to just like force push things and like no killing, but like he force push, grabbed a blaster and shot a guy in the head. So like it's not pacifist Ezra. It's this thing of I have gotten stronger and I don't need that tool in order to do what I need to do. Like he stops Shin's lightsaber blade and does enough distortion that you watch the plasma like start to ripple off, which I thought was so cool. But that shows you how strong he is. Like that is literally like the same power that that Kylo Ren has when he stops the blaster bolt in midair. Like that, like you don't see a lot of Jedi do that. And so for Ezra to like not only just stop the blade, but almost like completely disrupt that energy field was really, really cool to me. I thought that was just really neat. Just like that level of detail in that shot was really appreciated. But everything that Ezra is doing, like his combat style, very Shaolin, very kung fu, all these like force pushes and blocks and stuff. It was great. I still don't understand why he wouldn't want to use his lightsaber, but at the same time, he has learned to live without it for so long. That's why I think for him, he was like, I got this. You need it more than I do. I gave it to you. I gave it to you for a purpose.
I think he'll pick a lightsaber up again in the near future.
I would hope so. I would love to see him with a lightsaber of some sort. But at the same time, knowing that he doesn't need it is also really, really cool.
I miss his original lightsaber. I'm kind of partial to that one.
The blaster lightsaber combo. Yeah, I thought that was funny because she was like, grab a lightsaber. Grab a blaster at least. And he's like, I don't need it. I'm good. I really like Ezra's character. I like older Ezra. I like this character he's grown into, but I do want to know all of the trials and tribulations that he went through in the last 10 years.
It was very Ezra to be like,
years
wait,
or however long.
You could take us as your prisoners. Like that was very Ezra.
It was so good. I was chuckling the entire time. The dialogue was just so good. And she's like, destroy them. He's like, wait, what do you, hold on.
You know who that also reminded me of? Kanan. That's something Kanan would do.
Yeah.
Let's talk.
Very
let's
Rebels.
talk about this. That's Kanan.
Yeah. The entire episode just felt like a Rebels episode. Like all of the action scenes, like everything screamed Rebels, which I thought was so great. Even just like Thrawn like opening up fire on Ahsoka when she's in the debris field with all the bones and everything. Like I thought that was great. You know, that was just really, really cool.
Do you think he's been talking to Kanan or Yoda?
I think he's been communing with somebody.
Yoda would make sense because we know Yoda has the ability and he knew Yoda previously.
He's talked to Yoda a few times already, so yeah.
Yoda would make sense. So could be Yoda. Be a nice little, probably not next episode, but maybe for another season.
There has to be another season of Ahsoka.
Oh,
There's no
God.
way that there isn't a season 2. Like the theme, the tone, like everything about this, I love. Like I love the whole like they've really leaned into this being very Japanese-esque, from the combat styles to the cinematography to just the way that people are dressed and like all that stuff is just it's so fitting for Star Wars. Like this is definitely one of my favorite. Andor is still my favorite show out of all of them. Ahsoka is definitely like a number 2 for me.
Andor is probably my number 2 after this, to be honest. This one has been my favorite.
I like Andor because they weren't afraid to go into the dark side of Star Wars. Like,
love it.
From an adult tone and everything about that. I think that like Andor set the pacing and the bar for what other Star Wars shows are going to be. And so like that's why I think like it's still like one of the best ones just because of what they were able to pull off. And Ahsoka, just from everything from the uniqueness of this show to also being so familiar at the same time. Like it's really nice to have like a show that you know is fan servicing, but at the same time it's still very compelling.
My favorite parts of Star Wars are the mystical, that whole side. So Andor had none of that for me. Andor's a phenomenal show. Phenomenal. But now that we're getting into the nitty gritty of the weird, mystical, spiritual, dark side, light side, that whole thing in Ahsoka in live action, you have me completely hooked and then some.
Yeah.
So that's why it's my favorite, because that was what intrigued me about Knights of the Old Republic, was going to Korriban and learning about the ancient Sith in the Valley of the Dark Lords, and going to the ancient Rakata structures, and going to Tython and learning about the Jedi and Dantooine and all of that. So that was what hooked me into being a Star Wars super freak. And then it got to the novels, and then I started learning about the Abeloths. I read Heir to the... Like I said, I keep saying I read Heir to the Empire 20 years ago, right? That's what I keep saying to you. No, I read Heir to the Empire like 25 years ago.
Sure.
I was still in high school, Tim. I read it in high school. I had the book, I remember, because my Uncle Bob gave it to me. It was a paperback. And I was like, who's this blue dude on this? And he's like, oh, that's Admiral Thrawn. You should read this. And I was like, oh. So I read it once. I never read it again. And then years later, I was with Rob. We were drinking around a campfire, and we started talking about Star Wars. And he's like, oh, you ever read Heir to the Empire? And I was like, yeah. A long time ago, we started talking about that. And then you made me watch Rebels, and I was like, oh, it's him. It's the guy from the book. So it's been a journey. My Uncle Bob, also the one who gave me the book, is the one that I've said on the show before. He saw A New Hope in the theaters and still has his button that they gave him that says, may the force be with you. And I was like, you need to sell that on eBay. You will make so much money. So yeah, it's been quite the journey to get here, but the mystical stuff is really what I'm into. Like the Night Sisters are some of the coolest stuff that we've seen in Star Wars, in my opinion. So I'm that's why this is my favorite. And so far.
Yep.
But I love Mandalorians too. So who knows what's in season 4 and more Mandalorians.
I don't know, dude. We were talking about it earlier, but we're definitely gonna hit this dry spell soon. Like it's gonna be rough.
You got to understand too, for our generation who played Knights of the Old Republic, we're getting all that stuff in live. We're getting Mandalorians. That's from Knights of the Old Republic. The Night Sisters were not from that, but the delving into the dark side and the light side and all that stuff, all kind of based in the books and Knights of the Old Republic and the comics. So the thing that brought us in now, all of these years later, is seeming to be what they're gonna build everything around. But Ahsoka. Interesting stat. Ahsoka's viewership numbers have been lower than Mando, but the viewer rating has been higher than Mando.
That doesn't surprise me.
Which is exactly what happened with Andor, too. The numbers were lower. Ahsoka's higher than Andor, for the record. But
that doesn't surprise me either.
The viewer rating was higher than Mando. So Mando, while, again, a great show, I love Mandalorian, and it changed Star Wars forever, is the not the lowest, because that's Book of Boba Fett. Out of the live action stuff, it is towards the bottom.
It's because there's not enough lightsabers and not enough characters that you can connect with.
Yeah.
That's the problem, is that there's too many new characters and there's no one throwing a lightsaber around. And so Star Wars fans will ultimately not be attracted as much to that as they would other things.
Which is why Luke was the most watched episode of Mandalorian.
Because it was something that everybody knew.
And man,
it's the unfortunate part to Star Wars is that it's such a vast universe, and it's so rich with stories that have nothing to do with a force wielder or someone who has a lightsaber, and it's completely missed out on.
Yeah, and I think it's the major difference if you're going to compare it to Song of Ice and Fire, Game of Thrones. Let's compare to Game of Thrones television specifically.
Sure.
World building in both phenomenal, but the issue with Game of Thrones is we are introduced to the politics of that world as kind of the focus. There's so much crazy, magical, weird, mystical stuff in A Song of Ice and Fire that doesn't even scrape the surface of what we see in Game of Thrones. The red priestesses and all that stuff, and the resurrection. Remember
that shit's just kind of skimmed over.
Creepy shadow murder baby thing in that one scene. Like that's just, for instance, Catelyn Stark comes back. She's resurrected from the dead as Lady Stoneheart, leads the Brotherhood of whatever, the Brotherhood Without Banners or whatever they're called, in this whole rebellion storyline that they didn't even touch. And she's basically zombie Catelyn Stark getting revenge for what's happened to her children. But like that, we weren't introduced to that up front. So that's the difference is people were all about the politics, the sex, all the stuff that made Game of Thrones what it was as a television show. And that's what they're leaning into with House of the Dragon. Even though, in my opinion, the episode of House of the Dragon where the king is dying is probably the best episode from that universe of anything ever and the most superb, one of the best acting performances ever. Star Wars, on the other hand, we're introduced to the mystical up front when we meet Luke and Obi-Wan in A New Hope and we meet Vader. We understand that side of it. So that's our first impression of it. When we get into the politics, the Andor side of it, that's something, again, my wife loved Andor because she could connect with it on a social, I can compare this to the real world versus, it being entertainment in a world she knew. So I think that's kind of the difference when people watch these shows is it really is based on the first impression of when you watched it. And then you're going to take Hunter and Kyler, who are going to watch and experience all of this in a way that you and I could never even fathom, dream of, or understand because they're going to watch it in a much, they're going to have it all up front. For me and you, it's divided up over decades, for lack of better saying it. Like, it's decades. For them, it's, we're almost done with Bad Batch, and then we're going to watch Solo. And, and he's seen it all, and now he's getting to piece it all together as one long storyline. So that's kind of the difference between the shows and why I would say the reception, while high in ratings, viewership is lower because there is a lack of interest for certain things.
Agreed.
You want me to go down this list of Easter eggs that aren't Easter eggs?
Yeah, I'd love that.
So normally every week I go to Screen Rant. Screen Rant is very good at finding Easter eggs that Tim and I weren't able to find. Now, I would say probably a little more than half we find, and there's a few that I'm always like, oh, that's cool. This week, again, Screen Rant, I'm sorry. These are not Easter eggs. This is things that happened in the episode. So
No, I'm sure they're Easter eggs. Tell them what they are.
All right.
I'm sure these are Easter eggs.
Easter egg number 14. Ahsoka episode 7 returns to Coruscant, the galactic capital. No shit. That's probably why we saw the galactic capital building, and that's where they held the hearing with Senator Ziono and Hera. Number 13.
What an Easter egg, dude.
Hera Syndulla name drops the Imperial Remnant. That's not an Easter egg. That is a fact when we had the discussion about Mandalorian Season 3 and Moff Gideon. We all understand that. That's not an Easter egg. That's more of a plot point in the episode.
It's just world building.
Ahsoka's place in the timeline is finally fixed. I will give you this one.
I don't think that's true. I mean, other than, okay, they just like, they cemented it by saying, the things that happened on Mandalore. But I mean, I feel like if you have any like understanding of what's going on in the world and how like things lined up, I think we all knew that after we see Ahsoka at the end of season 3, that she's off on her adventure, and we pick right up after
Also,
that.
fixed is not the right word there. It was never broken.
He was never broken.
That was number 12. Number 11, an unexpected cameo from C-3PO. Yes, and we should talk about this. We should take a quick pause.
I don't understand how that's an Easter egg. He was the main focal point of that conversation.
Not an Easter egg.
That's not an Easter egg. An Easter egg is when it's like hidden and you have to find it. Anthony Daniels was out front and center.
It was a genius way to incorporate Leia without having her show up.
That is the only reason why they did that, is because they didn't want to CGI Leia into the screen. And so what do? You use 3PO for everything. He gets used in the books as her liaison. I mean, like, this is a very normal Leia behavior.
Very. And we also find out that she, unlike Heir of the Empire, she is the head of the defense committee for the Senate. So we do understand how she goes from senator to general now, because if she's part of the defense committee, it would make sense that, she would end up as a general fighting in the resistance.
Later on down the line, yeah. Apparently she doesn't. She ends up just giving them the middle finger.
Yes. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, which you can see why, if this is the crap she has to deal with.
Oh, the politics that they'd have to put up with? I'd totally give them the middle finger.
Not really an Easter egg, because he literally walked into the room. I heard his voice and I went, no. And then they panned the camera behind the guard and I was like,
they've got to do something about his suit, though, because like the black behind the wires is it's not like it's It's not hiding anything other than it just looks like a bodysuit. I don't know. I felt like it kind of felt like they got a C-3PO costume from Walmart for Halloween.
But that's
like there are definitely parts where I was like,
that's what he looks like, and he always.
I know that's the part that like that's what like I really hope C-3PO gets like just like a revamp or something because he's looking kind of rough. Like he looks like he came right out of the 70s.
The problem is now you're watching it in 4K as opposed to.
I know it's ruining the immersion.
But it was so good to see him.
It was
and
so
hear
good.
Anthony Daniels, like it was just such a great moment. And Hera's smile.
Go ahead, sorry.
Hera's smile when she saw him. I was like, ah.
Oh, so smug. Now, if you do want an Easter egg, the data disc that he hands off is very, very similar to the same data disc that R2-D2 is given in A New Hope. Like if you want to look for an Easter egg, like that's an Easter egg.
Isn't that
or another Easter egg? The training droids that's in Ahsoka's ship.
Isn't that also similar to the data disc that they put in him for Luke's map for the missing piece?
Yes.
Yeah. So,
but like little things like that. I mean, I think you could say that's an Easter egg. But C-3PO walking out on stage, not an Easter egg.
Number 10 is Leia's role in the New Republic confirmed. All right, kind of an Easter egg, yes, because in Legends she was not the leader of the Defense Committee. It was somebody else. I forget his name.
But even in Aftermath, did she have a title, or was she just out there just helping?
Senator.
She was just senator, but she's still Senator Organa.
She's still senator, but she heads the committee for the defense, which is why she was able to get away with saying she gave Hera the order.
I wasn't sure what she was doing during Aftermath. I couldn't remember. I know she's super prego right now.
Which is why Senator Ziono was. No, she's not prego.
Oh no, it's after. This is after Aftermath. So Ben's like 5.
And Ben's name is on.
It's on his thing.
Baylan's wrist. So. Yeah, it was just kind of solidifying what her position is within the New Republic and that she has kind of elevated her status. But like you said, she has a family, so she's probably not going to these committee meetings in person. Now, I will say this. This, again, goes to the argument of the recasting of why would we not let Billie Piper play her mom's role at this point?
I think that would be perfect.
I have zero objections to Billie Piper being involved and letting what's-his-face play Han and obviously, we know that we're going to get more Lando. So, I mean, let's do it. Like, let's jump in the water at this point. It's been 40-something years. We can't go backwards. Like, let's just do some recasting and have some fun with the universe. And I think recasting Billie as her mom, if you have a problem with that, you're a douche, and I'll say that to your face.
Well, she was the body.
Yes.
She was the body for Leia in
Rogue One
at the end when she was like Hope.
But they still did the CGI thing. Just let her be your mom. Like, let it be her.
Well, they did the same thing for Luke. They used freaking what's his face, who is Mark Hamill's son.
Yes.
And he was the body double for his dad.
Yeah, but we should just have what's his face who plays Bucky play Luke. Like,
yeah, I mean, that's his kid.
like, come on. So.
But that's the problem, though, is that when Bucky comes out with the green lightsaber, it's like, the Winter Soldier, what the fuck's he doing here?
Yeah, but have you seen the brush ups on him? He looks just like him. It's scary.
Yeah, he looks just like, well, I mean, it's his kid.
No, that's not his son, is it? The actor who plays Bucky? No.
Isn't that his son?
No.
I could have sworn Mark Hamill.
The guy who played Luke is his son that they did the CGI on. Bucky, whose name escapes me at the moment.
Then I'm getting I'm merging the two things together. Then son. I saw a thing with him and Sebastian. I could have sworn that he called him kiddo, and so I assumed
he's probably doing the Han to him.
Yeah, okay, but he called him kiddo, and I was like, wait a second, is that your dad?
No, Sebastian Stan is.
I don't know, dude. Actors keep last names for weird reasons all the time, so I don't know. I never know.
Sebastian Stan's Romanian. He's definitely not Luke's son, but he could play Luke 100%. And Billy, and you have your Han, you have your Lando. I don't see what the issue is. Chewie can be anybody that's 7 feet tall. Who's that? That Swedish man plays him now. So like, what's the point? Like, just can we just move on and like have some fun?
No, here's the thing. Even Mark Hamill tweeted this. Stan Hamill resemblance has been observed for years. Hamill himself tweeted in 2017, "Sorry to disappoint you, but I refuse to say Sebastian Stan, I'm your father, even though, in fact, I am. Hashtag sorry, not sorry. Hashtag my son, Sebastian."
That's not his dad. I'm looking at his
I
Wikipedia.
know, but I saw
Yes,
that
I
tweet.
understand why
I
you would think
guarantee you I saw that tweet. And I was like, that's cool.
Yeah, no, that's not. No, he's not Winter Soldier's father.
I knew I saw something where I was like, that's his dad?
No, that's not him.
I'm glad I'm not crazy. I'm glad I'm not completely insane. Just partially.
Number 9, we didn't talk about this, so this is important. It's not, again, not an Easter egg, but a plot point. Anakin Skywalker recorded 20 holovids for Ahsoka.
But we knew that.
That was...
We didn't know it was 20.
Right.
We just knew that he recorded vids for her to train with.
Yes, we didn't know how many, and that was the last one.
I thought, and the gut-wrenching one was like, this is the last one. I was like, oh!
Yeah.
Ow!
Yeah. So how close to the end was that one recorded? That's...
And I thought it was cute when he said people were. I was watching a video breakdown of the episode, and someone had said he told her to train more than him because he recognized that because of his metachlorian count and that he was stronger than her.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, no, he's saying be better than me. He's saying that I want you to train more than me to be better than me.
Right.
Not because I'm better than you, so you need to work harder. He's saying I want you to work harder so that you are always better than me.
And what an interesting point that is, because if you're a parent, you always want your children to do better and be better than you.
Always.
So it really shows you the love that he has for her.
Very
depending
much
on
so.
whether he's a Force ghost, a Mortis god, whatever it may be. He obviously still cares about her wherever he is and whatever he's doing. So I thought that was important. Number 8 was the reference General Grievous, Count Dooku, and Asajj Ventress.
Thought that was great.
Yep. I will say, we didn't touch on the moment that Thrawn realized who Ahsoka's master was.
Well, because that happened in this episode, and I thought that was really cool because as soon as he found out General Skywalker was her master, he automatically knew how to handle her.
Yep.
Which I thought was perfect, and that's a great nod to the books, and I smiled because I was like, yes, finally, we're getting a little bit of book Thrawn in here now, which I thought was great. But as soon as he realized who her master was, then he knew exactly how to handle her.
He found that so... You could tell he was like getting off on the information. Like he found that
Yeah, of course
so
he was.
interesting. He was like, oh. And then he knew, like you said, he knew exactly how to play her. He knew what she would do. Again, the master tactician at work. It was cool to see. And I have a feeling that's not the last time he's gonna play to that side of things.
Not at all.
When that happened in my head,
this is the guy who hung out with her master in both forms.
and knew who he was without anybody telling
and for
him.
him to use that in psychological warfare, oh my god, dude. And everybody knows at this point, if you've been watching Ahsoka, you know that everyone really likes to push their finger in on that little wound that she has that is Anakin, because she is still yet to forgive herself from turning her back on the Order, which she still believes is what ultimately forced Anakin into the dark side. And so all you have to do is mention a little bit of that, and she just goes full dark side Ahsoka, which is great.
I heard that, and all I thought of was like Mithron Yerodo. Mithron Yerodo. Mithron Yerodo. Mithron Yerodo.
Thrawn Naruto.
Mithron
Anakin can't say his
Yerodo.
name. So good.
Yeah. Number 7 is Morgan gives Grand Admiral Thrawn access to the Inquisitorial database.
How is that an Easter egg? She literally says this is everything
have
that the
from the
Inquisitorial database had. I did what you asked me to do. How is that an Easter egg? Screen Rant was really stretching for these.
Yeah, Grand Admiral Thrawn reacts to the name Anakin Skywalker's number 6.
Jeez.
Number 5 is Sabine believes the Emperor was defeated at Endor. She didn't say that, though. She said that's what everyone said.
That's what everybody's saying. Because everyone knows that he was on Death Star 2. Death Star 2 exploded. So put 2 and 2 together, you got death.
Yeah, they didn't. No one's aware.
There's no body. No one survived the actual explosion. The only people that survived were people who weren't on the Death Star. And Luke Skywalker, everyone knows that he survived with, and so like they know, like they've heard the stories. Those have been passed down. So I don't understand. Like, how is that anything outside of just normal dialogue that people would have if someone inquired about the Emperor?
Yep. Number 4 is Sabine reveals Zeb is training recruits. I mean, I guess.
Okay, cool. Not an Easter egg.
Night Sisters uses dark side magic to track Ahsoka's number 3.
Oh my God, Kevin. Spoiler. Easter egg number 2. Ahsoka was breathing.
Number 2, Ahsoka and Sabine share a Padawan bond. Normally they're so on point, but there was just nothing.
And it wasn't even like a good bond. It was like trying to make a long distance phone call.
You're gonna love number 1.
Via satellite.
Star Wars subverts the hero's landing trope. Deadpool has made the hero's landing famous, and Ahsoka's already been shown performing this trope earlier in the show. But Ahsoka,
it wasn't a hero landing. She slid on her ass.
7 riffs on it in an amusing way, with Ahsoka and Huyang attempting to coordinate a hero's landing and failing catastrophically.
No, we know Jedis can do this. Like, there's nothing new. Jedis jump out of things and land on the ground all the time. This has nothing to do with Marvel superhero landings, you dumbass. Who wrote this?
I'm not going to reveal their name, but
I want to have words with this individual.
You normally
my
do
God.
so good with those, and this week was just amusing.
You guys missed.
So we had to it's okay to be like there was no Easter eggs in this episode. It's okay. Well, maybe not in your publishing calendar, but yeah. Anyway, we're gonna end it on an angry note because we haven't done that in a while. So
oh my God.
That's it for us today for Star Wars and Scotch. It was a long one, but it was a good one. I have a feeling next week, Tim, you probably won't be able to stream next week in the morning. Like, we're not gonna wrap till probably 10.
Oh
something.
yeah, no, I figured as much.
So next week, buckle up. It's going to be a complete, kind of recap of everything. More importantly, on that note too, we'll probably bring some friends in. I know Ben is dying to talk about this, so I really think we should get Ben the week after Ahsoka to come on, because Ben has been in our DMs like asking us a bajillion questions about lore. And like, we're not the most knowledgeable lore people. Like, I hope you all realize that.
Speak for yourself.
Okay. All right. I'm going to take that as a challenge, and I'm going to have Tim and Alex get up there next year at Star Wars, and we're going to do Star Wars trivia.
No, that sounds miserable. I'll lose.
Maybe for the last 15 minutes, that's what we should do. Alex, who knows everything and still goes to trivia every Thursday for it.
Nope. No thanks.
So...
That's funny.
So we'll be back next week. Buckle up for a long episode, and then we'll bring some friends on to get their impressions over the course of next week. And then from there, it's books, comics, whatever's in the news, chit-chatting. Tim, I really think we should do some tabletop stuff on your Timmy's Tabletop. So, just saying.
Perfect.
Just saying. He really wants me to get into Magic the Gathering, so... I've been
and if you don't want to get into Magic, that's fine, Kevin. There are Star Wars trading card games that we could play.
Well, the problem is Rob and Mike have been trying to get me into Magic for 4 years now.
Oh, this is perfect.
And Mike,
you could come over. I've got some deck. I have 5 decks now.
That was always my complaint, was I don't have anyone here to play with. And now if Mike gets wind that you're into Magic, I'm
and Ben's kind of like, when we do some Magic? So I mean, like, we could have like a dude's night. We could play some Magic.
Also, I found the game that everyone's playing instead of Warhammer Classic, so I was looking at that too. But
what is it?
It's called
the Star Wars one?
No, it's like high fantasy.
Oh, what happened to your 90-minute Star Wars game?
I'm still going to buy a Shatterpoint. I just haven't had a chance. It's called Kings of... Hold on, it's reloading. Kings of War is like where everyone went when Warhammer... I believe they're rebranding it. I forget what they're... Old World. It's called Old World. Okay. Everyone went to when Old World's... Before Old World launches, I assume so. But anyway, go check out Tim. You're done with Cyberpunk, or are you still playing Cyberpunk?
No, we were at the tail end of it. So today we're going to finish up Cyberpunk.
So by the time you hear this,
Liberty.
Tim will have finished Cyberpunk. But if you missed the journey, you can always go watch the VOD on Tim's YouTube channel, youtube.com/darkness429. What's on the slate for? I know you got a ton of games coming out, but in between, like Spider-Man's next week, right?
Spider-Man's next week. We've been doing Magic like every afternoon, so it's been that. People have been asking me to get back into Starfield, which is weird because like I spent 80 hours in Starfield. Like, when are you gonna start your new game plus? I'm like, I don't.
It's a Bethesda game. Bethesda.
I just I've already done it. I did all the side quests and stuff. I was like, do I really want to do it again?
But now you need to
the only
mod
thing you
it.
get. Yeah, well, that's the whole thing is like you could mod it and all this stuff, and maybe it'll be bad. I don't know. So yeah.
I mean,
it's kind of like we're kind of holding. I'm in a holding pattern until Spider-Man comes out.
Someone's gonna have a fully modded Star Wars RPG in Starfield by next year. I guarantee you.
Well, they already put Stormtroopers in.
that.
They replaced all the UC guys with Stormtroopers. So
We'll see. But youtube.com/darkness429, darkness429, everywhere else on the internet. I am Kevin. You can check out everything I do at raredrop.co or KMagic101 all over the internet, or Kevin X Vision on Twitter. But we will be back next week. We are Star Wars and Scotch. Please rate, review, subscribe all over. It helps us out so much when you all interact with what we're working on, so we appreciate it. And we will see you next week for the final episode of season 1 of Ahsoka.
oh,
I know it's going to be rough to say goodbye. I've really been enjoying the Tuesday night format too. So
yeah, it's been so nice.
So nice.
It's perfect.
Yep. Because you've even been doing rewatches at the gym.
I do. I watch it the night of. I watch it Tuesday night, and then most days in the morning when I come over to the gym, I turn it back on just to see if there's anything that I missed. But for filler episodes, and with Screen Rant, I won't miss anything. So you know. And as always,
Hopefully we don't
may the force be with
get
you.
a strongly worded letter from Screen Rant for this. Bye.